Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of KPW War Zone. It is I, Tapy Styles, calling the action right down the middle, flying solo as always, and we are hot off the heels of our previous monthly special event, Mayhem. We saw quite a bit of action unfold this past Saturday night, including triple threat action in the main event. Three former brethren representing what once was Bunker Hill, K-Dog, Popo, they challenged Popcorn Papi for the KPW World Heavyweight Championship. But like we've seen time and time again, the Street Fighter Popcorn Papi overcomes the odds once again and walks out scot-free with the KPW World Heavyweight Championship intact. But what we are here to discuss, and what we will show very shortly, something that transpired after the events of Mayhem this past Saturday night. A bit of an altercation took place between him and one of the top contenders in the World Heavyweight Championship scene, a man that has yet to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, but has been picking up quite a bit of steam over these past several months. We will be showing that footage very shortly. But before we get to that, let's get a good rundown of what you can expect to see in this run-up to SUMMERSPARK, June 27th. Our next monthly special event here on the Team Adhesive Broadcasting Network. Our main event in the evening, of course, the Viceroy takes on the Mastermind as Jedi, who is certainly a man with a short fuse, a shorter temper after what we saw at Mayhem, after he was screwed out of his bout, out of his hard-fought victory with Solo. He might have the opportunity to unleash his frustrations, because he's going to have to take on a man that is now flying solo after what transpired at Mayhem. Sigma Shuko, for the first time in a long time, is not flanked by the War Machine Slarty. He is all by himself, and he is going to have to fight to survive here tonight. But the perpetrators of that attack, the perpetrators that took out Slarty this past Saturday night, they will also be in action here for the first time since Parliament disbanded. Chaos Control, Kruger, Papyrus, they will be in tag team action against Hugo Johnson, Frank Glizzo, the Coney Island Express. Some high tensions here tonight, but what we could also expect is an opportunity to bounce back, and that is certainly what the heartthrob Popo is looking to do later on tonight, as he'll be in singles action against T-Nova. And speaking of bouncing back, we've heard the rumors, we've heard the speculation. A returning star will be making their first footsteps back to the KPW ring. Here tonight, we've had some footage sent to us in the truck, authorized to be played later on in this program. But what's also still to come, the KPW Twitch champion will be in action. The Diamond Dragon, Opulence, will be going one-on-one against one of the toughest men in all of KPW right now. One of the most vicious behemoths that this company has ever seen, folks. Some may call him the Misfit, but his tag team partner, the other half of the tag team champions, and Steven Gilbert, he refers to him as the Ultimate Male. Opulence will have to go one-on-one against the 300-pounder, Bawb. But before we get down to ringside, it is finally time to unveil the backstage footage that has been the talk of the town ever since Mayhem went off the air. Who was the man that confronted Popcorn Papi backstage as the show came to a close?
You got something you want to say? Huh. Come on, champ. Where's that talk and bravado?
You know what, Meng, I got something to say about you. Use a little beach. No, I'm not finished. You really are just a little sycophantic, manipulative little beach. You think you deserve any kind of credit for what you did a few hours ago? I've rolled the dice with folk that I thought I could trust, and I thought they'd have my back. Even with some of the heartache that's come, at least I can sleep at night knowing I didn't have to twist the knife in the backs of my closest confidants to win that title over there. And here's another tang I gotta say about you now that yo mask slipped. I ain't gonna respect yo ass. Why should I? The Bambus? Pando? I respect them. They carved a path out for themselves here in KPW. They've become major players in this company, and even if I might never see eye to eye with them, I know they're gonna work to make their dreams a reality. You came back to wrestling when the checks for your school started to bounce. You wanted residuals from the men that outshined yo ass. You think you're hot shit for beating down the last man that trusted you in this business? I had my trust taken advantage of, and I'm still here as the champ. Still out here drawing more dimes than you ever could.
You don't talk to me like that. Boy, I am so freaking grateful to whatever deity is that's looking down at me that this is the case. Thank the heavens that you and I aren't the same. Why the hell would I want to be like you? Why do I want the common ground to share with a lowlife like you? You think you're God's gift to this world because you've overcome the odds. You had to beat the closest things you ever had to friends in this business to keep that belt behind you. And what kind of champion are you anyhow? You want to command the locker room, and yet you just let that title hang on the rack like it's a wet towel. Don't talk to me about what I can't comprehend. I've been on Mars in this business. SUMMERSPARK is coming up real soon. I don't need much more to officially become the #1 contender. Maybe I should beat up some of your old goons that can't stand your ass anymore. I'll do that on my time because the rest of this locker room is going to start operating on it real soon. And sans Robbie Deuce, you're going to be the first one to feel that time switch, champ.
Dynamite Danny Axel
You think you're
throwing down some
capable of
serious
handling
threats.
K-Dog? And all the burdens he can carry on him. Let's see how ruthless you can truly be when you face somebody that you ain't got baggage over. And when you slip up just as hard as you did tonight, I'm gonna be there. There to show you how to handle business. There to show you how you don't leave any baggage behind. Now get out of my locker room.
Tensions running high after the main event of Mayhem, and of course the no-holds-barred match that Dynamite Danny Axel partook in. Going right to the champion, calling his shot. Popcorn Papi, he might have been battered and bruised, but he will live to fight another day. He will live to defend that KPW World Heavyweight Championship. And that is the same position that men like Bawb and Opulence share in the KPW locker room. Bawb, the current half of the KPW Tag Team Champions, the Diamond Dragon. Opulence, representing the KPW Twitch division. I am mighty. Hot off the heels of a hot title change, Opulence shocked the world at Mayhem when he defeated overwhelmed Pierre Cinema in 3.5 minutes flat to become the new Twitch champion. Opulence looking to shock the world again, attempting a small package on the 300-pounder. And you don't want to get under the skin of the Misfit. That's like unleashing a bull in a china shop. Opulence taking some heavy swings here. Bawb takes him down with ease. Side kick, Opulence clearing the ring.
2, 3.
And one has to wonder, after what we saw at Mayhem, not just with Opulence, but Bawb's dominant display in the the tag team championship match. Unbelievable that we saw the same result on the same night. Big splash by Bawb. Cover. A kick out by Opulence. Bawb defended the tag team championships alongside the director Steven Gielberg under elimination tag rules against High Velocity. Steven Gielberg didn't even have to make the tag. Bawb went 1-on-2 against High Velocity and decimated the former champions. It was like watching one of those old 80s slasher flicks. There was no chance of survival for High Velocity. And who's going to be crazy enough to try and step up to the tag team champions with such a tour de force on display like the Misfit Bawb? Side kick to the head by Opulence. Bawb still on his feet. Big leapfrog by Opulence. Uranagi into the corner. Opulence positioning himself onto the second rope. Going for a senton, but Bawb rolls towards the corner. Stiff right shot by Opulence. Opulence hitting the ropes for some extra speed, put some extra stank on that forearm smash. Bawb is hardly budging. And High Velocity, let's not forget, folks, they are not the only victims at the hands of the Misfit. Last week on Warzone, just 7 nights ago, what was supposed to be just an ordinary, run-of-the-mill, peaceful, via satellite interview with the icon, the man they called Ding, turned into a night of uncertainty, a night of chaos, when Bawb stormed the bar.
1, 2,
Beat Ding bloody
3,
and put him through the pool table.
5, 6,
Big corkscrew plancha by Opulence.
8, 9,
These two, they got till 20 to get back into the ring. Opulence, he's gonna take his sweet time,
11,
pick it apart at the Misfit.
13,
Bawb making the first move back inside the ring. He's looking to showcase some of that territorial dominance. That DDT onto Opulence. Shoulder breaker to follow it up. Clinching slam. And what a hard landing that was for Opulence. But the pain is not over. Bawb very quickly on the move, transitioning into an STF. Taking a page out of the playbook of the Diamond Dragon. Opulence is the man that is very well regarded here in KPW for his submission tactics. He's been well regarded as a submission specialist. He's used that chandelier lock to get the job done time and time again. I don't even think Bawb is going to entertain the possibility of Opulence cinching in that hold. Abdominal stretch, transitioning into a pinfall. The Opulence is right there at the ropes. Bawb weighing in here tonight at 300 pounds, standing at 6'8". Opulence, on the other hand, down by about 80 pounds compared to the Misfit. He is putting up one hell of a fight here. He's already put up a better fight than High Velocity did. And I don't think anybody could have ever expected that result. Big knife edge chop in the corner. Opulence perched up high. We're gonna go for a senton, but he took way too much time. He should have capitalized just a little bit quicker. All that extra time to recover. Got him all the time in the world. Opulence learning from his mistake. Moves a little bit quicker, moves a little bit more urgently here. And a left hook from the Misfit, running DDT to follow it up. Rock kick by Opulence, trying to create some distance, trying to create some space. Bawb immediately closing the gap. And a big splash to follow that up, a 2 count. As Opulence continues to fight. And now Bawb perched up top. Looking to go for a senton of his own. What a disgusting landing. Opulence trying to capitalize. And Bawb is now breaking the count. Small package. Another kick out.
One, two.
Opulence trying to keep his distance. He knows the rage that is just building up, harboring inside the cold and cruel black heart of the Misfit. Bob's got that very distinct reach advantage. He's got those closed, taped fists. And he is absolutely in there toying around with the Twitch champion. And we know for sure that under the payroll of one Steven Gilbert, Bawb is not going to challenge Opulence for the Twitch championship anytime soon. Steven Gilbert is sending Bawb out on a rampage. He wants to exert as much control as he possibly can, and he's got one hell of a weapon of mass destruction to pull that off. Irish whip reversal into the corner. Bawb perching up Opulence. Samoan drop from the second rope. Flying hip attack from Bawb. A drop kick from Opulence. A second one takes down Bawb. A strike into the corner. Opulence turning him around. Picks him up. Superplex from the top. And if Opulence is going to make this work, he's got to move now. He's got to move urgently. He cannot waste any more time. And Opulence locking in that chandelier lock, that signature crossface. And Bawb was right there at the ropes, his reach, his height advantage. Those long legs of the Misfit bailed him out this time. Side kick, caught by Bawb. Takes him down, throws an elbow right to the joint. More clubbing strikes from Bawb, including a clothesline to the back of the head of Opulence. The Opulence, he is pushing back. He is fighting with all of his might. If he's gonna go down, he's gonna go down swinging, and he's gonna use every bit of fiber in his being, every carbon atom, pushing forcefully in the same direction. Just to stay afloat here. Drop suplex, only a 2 count. The official slap by Jones. Keep it up with the action here. Another pinfall, this time by Opulence, and another 2 count. As Bawb hangs in the balance. Looking to maintain control here, and that's gonna be one hell of a way to do it. Another running DDT onto the Diamond Dragon. Another big splash. Look at it do even more damage to that torso. And the third time was the charm. Opulence on the receiving end of some serious blunt force here tonight. Bawb's reign of terror continuing, echoing throughout the locker rooms of KPW. Yeah, another look at that big splash. Wham! Crushing the ribs of the KPW Twitch champion. Definitely not the start that he was looking forward to here. And Bawb's not finished. He's going right back for the Twitch champion. You got the victory, damn it. Wasn't that enough? And Opulence, he's fighting back to the best of his abilities, but he is not as able as he was just 10 minutes ago, folks. Bawb lumbering around the ring. Sidewalk slam. Ringside staff, security, they don't want to get involved with a man as dangerous as the Misfit. He's been making his case. He's been pitching that tent for quite some time. Opulence using whatever wherewithal he has left to try and get out of there. But Bawb, he is not letting him have it. Bawb is a one-man wrecking crew. And under the payroll of the director, Steven Gilbert, he is running the operation of deconstruction here tonight. Much like we saw with High Velocity, much like we saw with Ding, Opulence finds himself in dire straits. And now Bawb looking to escalate things even further. He's got those steel steps. And Opulence just got clocked with the steps. Sidewalk slam onto the steel steps. Surely that's got to be enough. There is no way in hell that Opulence is going to be able to walk out of here on his own 2 feet here tonight. And you gotta give Opulence some credit here. He's shown how brave he is, how bold he is in the face of danger, but sometimes it's just better to stay down. Sometimes you just gotta pick and choose your battles here. And now Bob's up on the announce desk. I gotta get the hell out of here, folks. No, not a last caress on the freaking table. And the lights have gone out. What the hell is going on? Let's dig. Dig making the save for Opulence. Payback for last week. And ding! He's looking to beat the holy hell out of the Misfit! Another whip into the barricade. And a hard headbutt has just busted Bawb open. The taste of blood is making Bawb run for the hills. Security finally able to intervene, able to separate the chaos here. As Ding has evened the score after what we saw last week on Warzone, he has now gotten the better of Bawb here. Something's got to give at some point, folks. Ding tried to reason with this man, and look at where it got him. Look at this last resort that Ding has brought himself to. Certainly not the outcome that Steven Gilbert was expecting here tonight. Bawb may have picked up the victory here tonight, but he's looking no worse. He's looking just about as worse for wear as his opponent here. But coming up next, a man that may be a little worse for wear after that triple threat match at Mayhem, the heartthrob Popo will be going one-on-one against T Nova. Nova, one of the big signings the past few months of KPW. He's already made his presence felt as a former Twitch champion, and his climb back to championship glory has been quite arduous. A bumpier ride than he would expect. Even in the face of individuals like the freedom fighter Josue trying to intervene, trying to talk some sense into him to try and forge some alliances to make that climb a little bit easier. T Nova is just as defiant as he was when he arrived. And if there's anybody that is wary about forming alliances here in KPW, especially regarding recent history, it's certainly the proverbial lone star here, the heartthrob Popo. Nova, Popo both rushing towards the center of the ring, looking to get the drop on each other. And Popo was able to get the early advantage with a headlock takeover. Those savvy veteran instincts on display by the heartthrob. snap suplex by T-Nova. Popo going low. A shot below the belt. And who knows what kind of wear and tear the heartthrob is feeling after Mayhem. Especially after that World Heavyweight Championship main event, he had a second chance at dethroning Popcorn Papi. And after half an hour of Donnybrook, a downright brawl between three former brothers, Popo was the one that was scooped up. He was taken by surprise. And Popcorn Papi's resourcefulness, his willingness to capitalize and make the move when the time was right, proved to be the most critical move of the entire bout. And tonight, Popo is looking to show to the world that his trigger finger is still working, it's still intact. He is not going to hold back here tonight. He knows that a defeat here tonight could knock him further and further down that totem pole.
1, 2, 3.
The launcher to the outside. T-Nova moves out of the way.
5, 6, 7, 8.
And another snap suplex by T-Nova. And for a man that we have seen for only the duration of the past 2 months, what T-Nova has shown to us is that he is brave, he is defiant, he is calculating. His in-ring IQ is some of the highest in this business. Face crusher by T-Nova. Cool boy onto Popo. Sneak roll-up pin like that was exactly what cost Popo the World Heavyweight Championship this past Saturday night. Irish whip reversal by Popo. Back body drop. Arm dragon screw by T-Nova. Popo looking to make some distance for himself, looking to recuperate, get his bearings straight. Discus punch thrown out by T-Nova. Popo was ready for it. And a running calf kick takes Popo over the top and down to the floor. T-Nova keeping the pressure high.
5, 6, 7, 8.
But T-Nova getting a bit overzealous. Popo had just enough of his head still screwed in place to know that he was about to get dunked on his head on the floor. That could have been catastrophic. What amazing athleticism on display here by T-Nova. That handspring senton over the top rope and down to the floor. Another great example of T-Nova combining his in-ring IQ with athleticism and agility. Nice armbar transition by T-Nova. Snap suplex denied by the heartthrob. Waistlock transition, turns him over to a collar and elbow. Another arm dragon screw. Irish whip. T-Nova looking to meet in the middle with a flying forearm. Popo ducks it. Irish whip from Popo from corner to corner. Countered by T-Nova. A regal plex. Shotgun drop kick attempted by T-Nova. Popo using the top rope to pull himself just far enough out of range for T-Nova to feel the absolute worst of it. That was another smart play by the Heartthrob. Popo trying to keep T-Nova backed into the corner. T-Nova using that energy against him. Cover, lateral press. And Popo has been knocked senseless. You get another look at that regal plex. The velocity, the high angle impact that Popo took in the corner of the ring. The resourcefulness, the 5-tool player at hand, covering strength, covering agility, athleticism, intelligence. T-Nova has every tool in the book to become a major player here in KPW, and victories like the one we saw here tonight, folks, is going to be an important stepping stone for greatness. Congratulations to T-Nova on one hell of a victory here tonight. A victory that was very sorely needed for this young man. Coming up next, tag team action. As Chaos Control return to the tag team division, return to competition for the first time since we saw Parliament disbandment. Papyrus Kruger, already a unit before they were brought into the fold, they were able to stay intact as a unit. They made their presence felt immediately back at Mayhem just 48 hours ago when they took Slarty out. With one fell swoop, they were able to dethrone and unseat the First Nation as a dominant threat in the tag team division. And now the Coney Island Express have no choice but to tread carefully here tonight. As I understand here, before we get down to ringside, you have some important footage to run from the truck here, concerning another star that has been making their way back to KPW. Over the course of the past several months, they have been on hiatus for quite some time. I understand we are authorized to run this footage here and now. Let's see what this is all about. Oh, dear Lord. The king of Stego style, Corey Sinclair, the Mad King himself, is making his journey back to KPW. We have no estimated time of arrival. But if you want to talk about serious threats here in KPW, what we saw over the course of the winter heading into the spring, what we saw from Corey Sinclair was the actions of a loose cannon. Who knows who his intended target is going to be when he's finally here? He is a man that revels in chaos, much like these two men here, these two hosses. Chaos Control return to the tag team division here and now. The bell is sounded, and Frank Lizzo, he is going to be in for the fight of his life. And that has to be a sign of mercy here tonight, that Kruger is the one opting to get his hands dirty. He is the one opting to start this bout off for his team. And what the Coney Island Express are willing to do here, they're putting themselves in quite the dangerous predicament. Neck breaker by Frank Lizzo. Kruger pushing back with all of his might, all of his fury. And all that time away since Hysteria, I'm sure Chaos Control have had quite some time to themselves to think about what their first course of action was going to be. Now that they were breaking the chains from their dearest leader, their former mentor, the man that once was the Monarch, Oliver English, a man that we haven't seen since Hysteria, ever since that hellacious ladder match he had against Josue. Kruger and Papyrus, for the past month, they have marched without purpose. But they are looking to find some serious purpose here. And here comes serious business in the form of the 400-pounder. A vicious side suplex from one of the most dangerously agile men in this entire sport. Pirates looking to showcase his dominance from pillar to post here. Hugo not gonna make it easy one bit. And Hugo probably making the smartest decision of his entire career, choosing to tag out to Frank Lizzo. He's gonna need to make those tags very frequent. Both of these men attempted to slam the big man, and Frank Lizzo gets it. Side kick from Papyrus. And Papyrus, he has shared the ring with world champions. He knows what it's like to step into the danger zone. He knows how to push competitors to their physical limits. Frank Lizzo, he is using whatever adrenaline he has left to keep slamming down the big man. A third one in rapid succession. Frank Lizzo trying to get a reach on Papyrus. A reverse suplex onto the big man. Dragging him towards the center of the ring, looking to make the cover.
Count two.
And Papyrus kicks out. There's no way in hell he's gonna go down as simple as that. Iris clearing the ring of Hugo Johnson, who was the legal man for Coney Island.
3,
And now Chaos Control looking to do what they do best, going back to that old playbook.
6, 7, 8,
Launcher from the inside the ring out to the floor by Kruger.
11,
Hugo never saw it coming.
12, 13, 14,
Frank Lizzo, you might be the craziest man in this match. Did I just see him try to suplex Papyrus onto those steel steps?
17,
Down to 17. The action needs to get back in. Hugo
19,
looking to beat the count here. Papyrus
20.
just got counted out. What a blitz play by Coney Island. And Chaos Control. I don't even know what the hell to make of this. Kruger doing everything he could to provide the assist for his tag team partner. Even taken to the skies, a rare feat for Kruger. And it just wasn't enough. As Chaos Control, they were soundly outsmarted by a team that they severely underestimated here. Congratulations to Coney Island Express for quite a shocking victory here. But still to come tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the main event of the evening, as the Viceroy takes on the Mastermind. Jedi goes one-on-one against one half of the First Nation, a man that has been forced to fly solo for the first time in nearly 2 years. Sigma Shuko, and as I understand, our resident interviewer Roger, he is standing backstage with the Mastermind, looking to get some insight from the man, looking to get some intuition, a peek into the mind of Sigma Shuko before he has his first singles bout away from the First Nation banner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing by with my guest for tonight, a man that so graciously offered us his time before the main event. I am of course talking about one half of the First Nation, the Mastermind, Sigma Shuko.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine. What do you got for me?
You and Slarty have really made an impact together as a tag team over the past 2 years, but the image that was painted back at Mayhem was telling quite a grim story. We saw frustrations over the past few months bubble to the surface, and just when you two were about to butt heads, Chaos Control returned. Slarty is now injured for an undisclosed amount of time, and you are now forced to go it alone. So my question to you, Shuko, is this: how have you been handling all of this newfound pressure?
It's a little bit more pressure than I've been accustomed to, quite frankly. For so much time here, Slarty has been by my side through thick and thin. Now the reports are coming through that Slarty has been injured at the hands of Chaos Control, and I gotta go it alone for the first time in a long time. I'd hate to say this about Slarty, especially since he's not in the building here tonight. But with all the fighting in and out and all the fronts we've been taking on, it was only a matter of time before one of us got hit too worse for wear. Roger, look at this arm, man. It's been in a brace for a month to prevent a full bicep tear. Physically, Slarty and I have been getting pushed to a breaking point, and unfortunately, he couldn't get cleared for action. But I'm gonna carry the torch for the First Nation like I always have and always will. I know Jedi is gonna give me one hell of a fight. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to survive. That's what's important to me. I might not be at 100%, but I'm gonna make damn sure Jedi's night isn't an easy one.
Sigma Shuko looking to make a name for himself. Choosing not to look at the injury of his tag team partner Slarty as a setback, looking at it as an opportunity to prove his worth to his tag team partner. We saw some serious issues unfolding between them back at Mayhem. We thought they were gonna come to blows until Chaos Control put Slarty out on the shelf. Shuko got the lighter hand of that beatdown. But waiting from the other side of the ring for the mastermind is the 2026 Lethal Lottery winner, a former KPW World Heavyweight Champion, the longest reigning World Heavyweight Champion in KPW history. He's got one hell of a fight on his hands. Shuko versus Jedi in the main event of War Zone tonight. As we can see on full display, that heavily braced left arm of Sigma Shuko. That arm has been in a brace ever since he took on multiple arm bars from Sergeant Foxtrot last month. And he is fighting through the pain. He is pushing through it. He's taking the preventative measures that he needs to continue competing without risking a full bicep tear. The War Machine, on the other hand, his tag team partner Slarty failing to meet concussion protocols this past Saturday night. Shuko getting the upper hand here on Jedi. Even if it was for just a second here, Jedi forced to toss Shuko down to the floor. Shuko doing everything he can in his balancing and his positioning to not take the brunt of any impact on that left arm of his.
9, 10.
Irish whip into the guardrail. Forearm strike from Shuko.
13.
Down to 13.
14. 15.
Running bulldog by Jedi. Action needing to return inside the ring. Count of 16. Springboard missile drop kick to the back of the head of the Viceroy. And both of these men, they are looking at an opportunity here tonight. Get the bad taste of mayhem out of their mouths. Shuko is down a tag team partner. Jedi taking advantage of this past Saturday night. Almost having the match against the Scrapyard Saint, one half of the Hellhounds solo in the bag before K-Dog ran down to ringside and took out the referee just long enough for him to lay out Jedi with the Riz Crusher and give his tag team partner a golden opportunity to get the biggest pinfall victory of his career. Running schoolboy attempt by Shuko. And this is the spark
2, 3, 4.
that Slarty claimed was missing Shuko for quite some time. He was getting way too comfortable in his position. as a man that only had to carry half of the weight.
10, 11,
And now Shuko pushing with full force, all of his might, at least with as much as he can.
14,
A moonsault from the top down to the floor.
16, 17,
And that's the aggression that the War Machine was looking to see out of Sigma Shuko here tonight. And from this night forward. And speaking of forward, we got to talk about what's going down next week on Warzone as the board of directors have relayed this information. This is breaking news here, folks. Next week on the program on Warzone, you'll be seeing Dynamite Danny Axel in action. A man that could very well be poised to become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. He is looking to secure that position by going one-on-one against the Pitbull K-Dog in 1 week's time. Also to come, the KPW American Champion James KZ will be in action against one half of the Boise Boys, David Rush. And speaking of tag team action, Chaos Control will get another shot in tag team exhibition as they take on Bandardino and Ricky Rhombus of the Bam Bus. They hope to improve their standings after an embarrassing count-out loss just moments ago on the program.
3,
But what we can also confirm, not just for next week, but for SUMMERSPARK,
7,
a Iron Gauntlet will be contested
9,
over the Twitch Championship. 8 men will enter. 1 will leave with the Twitch Championship around their waist. And to determine the final entrant of that bout, it'll be Josue, T-Nova, and the Role Model Tape engaging in a 3-way dance.
1,
Same survival rules apply in a 3-way dance. Elimination rules are intact in a match of that caliber.
6,
All just to taste a sample size of what is still to come on the 27th. Jedi poking at the extremities here of Sigma Shuko, singling out the legs with that heel hold. Shuko doing everything in his power to guard that left bicep. Springboard moonsault from the second rope. Jedi caught by surprise. And this isn't the first time these two have shared the squared circle here in KPW. Flashback to Fever Pitch in 2024, back in December of 2024, over a year and a half ago. A simpler time when the Viceroy was in the midst of his World Heavyweight Championship reign. Sigma Shuko was one of the first men to get a title shot against Jedi. And that was one of the hardest fought battles in that entire championship reign. The Jedi emerged victorious that fateful night. Frog splash onto the back of Shuko. Shuko now targeting the legs of the Viceroy. He knows all about the power behind that sledgehammer. That special maneuver has been crucial in picking up high-profile victories for the Viceroy, including the very victory that made him a World Heavyweight Champion. And he's been able to pull that maneuver off on all shapes and sizes. Jedi looking to choke Shuko in the corner with his foot. Shuko going for a Styles Clash. Maestro Cradle to follow it up. And Jedi was in the ropes. Irish whip into the ropes. Shuko hangs on. Who knows how much tension he's allowing himself to take on with that left arm. Big missile drop kick to the back of the head once again. Running leg lariat by the Viceroy. Leaping clothesline. Pops Shuko off the apron and down to the floor. Is the Viceroy going to give chase? Is he going to wait for Shuko to make his move? Shuko. Look at it, even the score here with a baseball bat. And that would not be enough to disqualify Shuko. It's uncouth. There's certainly a lack of chivalry involved in a decision like that. But you could only be disqualified via count out or interference. These men have 20 seconds to fight outside the ring. They have 30 minutes to decide a winner. And with all the experience these two men they have picked up over these past several years, this could very well go the distance here tonight. Knife edge chop from Shuko. Back heel kick to push back Jedi. Jedi still standing tall. And a right hook to the sternum. Shuko answering with another springboard missile drop kick. Shuko loosening up the wrist, trying to take the tension out of that left arm. And what does that say about the fortitude, the durability that Shuko has all tucked in that back pocket of his? Where he is just heavily bandaged, braced up, and he can still get medically cleared for action. If we expected anybody within the First Nation to be able to just persevere through a potentially damaging, career-threatening injury, we would have figured that would have been Slarty. Shuko from the top, big splash, this could be it. And another kick out by Jedi. As this bout rolls on here, big flapjack from Shuko. Another cover, hook in the leg for extra leverage. And another kick out by Jedi. Shin kick by the Viceroy. Capture suplex away from the corner. A mean right hook from the Viceroy takes down Shuko for just a moment. Second rope splash from the mastermind of the First Nation. And that's another thing to make note of here. What we are seeing is such a stark contrast from what we're used to seeing from Shuko. He cinches in that high angle Boston Crab. Shuko, usually decked in the apparel of the First Nation, that signature black and silver gear, he has traded out for his traditional purple attire. Never thought we would see the day when we would see Shuko rocking purple once again, but here we are, folks. Jedi pulling Shuko away from the ropes, hook in the leg. And Shuko kicks out. Pushes himself free with the outside leg. Jedi made the mistake of using the inside leg for leverage. Shuko looking to go for that Boston Crab once again. Jedi forces his way out of it. But Shuko is very determined. He's looking for some kind of submission. That would be one hell of an accolade for Shuko to pick up. We've never seen the Viceroy tap out here in KPW. Shuko missing the moonsault. Jedi capitalizing. But Shuko kicks out once again. Shuko backing Jedi into the corner. Irish whip reversed by Jedi. Jedi rolls behind. Another styles clash by Shuko. Shuko pulling out all the stops. Double power bomb. He's taking the time to relax, trying to get his bearings straight. Shuko's arm, he is heavily favoring it. His overt cautiousness might have cost him what would have been a surefire victory there, and he still has more fighting to do because of that decision. A heel kick to the back of the neck of Shuko, courtesy of the Viceroy. Bullboy cover attempted by Shuko. Jedi at the ropes. Waistlock counter by Jedi, transitioning it into a collar and elbow tie-up. A perfect opportunity to go for that Fujiwara armbar, especially on that braced arm of Shuko. We saw that panic in the eyes of Sigma Shuko once he got that armbar, and he got real frantic trying to reach the ropes there. He's trying to avoid some serious injury. We were wondering just when that arm of Shuko was going to come into play for the Viceroy. And here Jedi is taking full advantage of this opportunity. Lion salt from Shuko. Shuko looking to go for a flapjack. Jedi moves around it. School inside cradle. Trying to scoop Jedi up in the blink of an eye. Shuko, he needs to go for the move here and now. Who knows how much left he has in the tank? A backbreaker by the Viceroy. Capture suplex from the Lethal Lottery winner, the man with all the leverage. Springboard missile drop kick of his own. Picking him up. Another heel kick to the back. Shuko clutching that neck. Release German suplex by the Viceroy. Blind forearm from the top. He is attacking Shuko from all different fronts. From the land, from the sea, and from the skies. And now Shuko's taken up to the skies. It's time for a sledgehammer. Cover.
2, 3, pinfall.
Now that is ball game for Sigma Shuko here tonight. We wondered how a one-armed man would fare in an ass-kicking contest. And I think we could all say that Shuko lasted a whole lot longer than anybody could have expected him to. But he's got one hell of a journey ahead of him, and so does the Viceroy. He has a fast pass in his back pocket that he can bust out anytime, that lethal lottery contract. And with the history that this man has with Dynamite Danny Axel, who knows what kind of conflict he's going to be running into. Is he going to let his personal friendship get in the way of his business opportunities? We will find out next week on Warzone, folks. I have been Tapey Styles, the only man that can call the action right down the middle, flying solo as always. Wishing you all a good night, everybody.